Hello students, welcome to PRS Biology. In my last class, discuss with you about your first NCERT biology chapter for class 12, that is the reproduction in organism, and today I am going to discuss with you about the remaining points of that particular chapter of your NCERT biology for class 12. In this video I am also going to prepare some questions for you, so keep watching this video till end. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the various modes of asexual reproduction found in living organisms. So there are several different modes of asexual reproduction commonly observed in an organism. The first one is the fission. The fission. So in fission, the parent body divides into two or more daughter cells. So during the fission, the parent body can be divided into two or more daughter cells. The simplest one is the binary fission, and it is commonly observed in the amoeba. So in binary fission, the parent body can be divided into two daughter cells. During binary fission, the parental body can be divided into two and forms two daughter cells. It is observed in amoeba. So this is a amoeba cell, and we know that the amoeba is a single cell organism, and during the binary fission, the amoeba nucleus of the amoeba become dumbbell shaped, and a constriction appear in the middle of the cell, and gradually the constriction will lead to the division of the cytoplasm, and the division of the cytoplasm with the nucleus results the formation of two daughter amoeba which become independent. So this type of binary fission is called the simple binary fission, and it is observed in amoeba. Second type of fission is called the multiple fission. So during multiple fission, the parent cell, it is a parent cell, this is the nucleus of the cell, and it is the parent cell, and these are the cytoplasm of the cell, preparing for multiple fission. So the parent nucleus now repeatedly divides for several times, and after rupturing the parent wall, they become liberated and gives rise the new individual. So this type is called the multiple fission, and a number of individuals can be produced through this process of multiple fission, and the nucleus now able to give rise to new individual. And this type of multiple fission is commonly found in the plasmodium. The second mode of asexual reproduction is the budding. So it is another mode of asexual reproduction observed in the organism. During budding, an exogenous or endogenous. Exogenous means outside of the body and endogenous means inside to the body. An exogenous or endogenous outgrowth or protuberance is formed which after liberation can gives rise the new individual. So it is a yeast cell I have drawn here. So an exogenous outgrowth is formed, so it is called exogenous bud. After detachment, the bud will give rise to a new yeast cell. So after detachment, the new bud will form a new yeast cell. It is commonly observed in yeast. The third one is the fragmentation. So during fragmentation, the whole parent body can be divided into several pieces or fragments, and each of that fragment will give rise a new parent cell. The parental body is break down into several pieces, and each of them gives rise to a new individual. So it is the fragmentation. So this is a filament, I have drawn it, and these are the fragments. After detachment of each of the fragment, it will give rise a new organism. It is commonly observed in case of the algae and fungal hyphae. So Spirogyra I have written here. The next most important mode of asexual reproduction is the sporulation. So from the term sporulation, that the parent body, first of all the nucleus divided several times, and each nucleus surrounded and form cyst wall around it and form some spores. It is probably the zoospores, and it will give rise a new individual after germination. And there are other ways, like some filamentous branches are formed called conidiophore, and the tip of the branches will give rise to rounded conidia, and each of that conidia after its germination gives rise to the new individual. Now I am going to discuss with you about the modes of vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. So the vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction can be categorized into two types, that is natural and artificial. The natural one can be divided into the tubers, rhizome. For example, tuber potato, rhizome is the banana. Banana is the example of the rhizome, banana plant. Sucker, and the example of sucker is the chrysanthemum. These are you already have in your first year syllabus. The next one is the bulb. And the example is onion. So these are the natural mode of vegetative reproduction. The artificial mode of vegetative reproduction I have already discussed in my previous class, so you just gone through my first part of this chapter video, and this is grafting, layering, cutting, etc. Now move on to the advantages of the vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction. So it is very important. So vegetative propagation is important for germplasm conservation because the progenies obtained from the vegetative propagation is exactly similar to their parents, so we can get the exact amount of germplasm or genes, the exact characters like the parents. So this help the germplasm conservation of plants. So exactly carbon copies can be get through the vegetative propagation. The second advantage is it help in micropropagation. So through vegetative reproduction, thousands of plantlets can be produced through micropropagation and tissue culture technique. The next one is that desirable varieties can be produced, and the last one is that we can limitize, or we can limitize the different sowing times, the harvesting time of the crop according to our need. That is, we need not to wait for a particular season for sowing or harvesting. First question is, why reproduction is essential for organisms? The answer is, it is a mean to ensure the perpetuation of a species. So without reproduction, the continuation of the organisms will vanish. The next question is, what is clone? And clone can be referred to the asexual reproducing offsprings. They are termed as clone because they exactly similar to their parents. The next one is syngamy. What is syngamy? Syngamy refers the fertilization process between the male and female gamete that will form the zygote. The Eichhornia or water hyacinth is called terror of Bengal because it reproduces vegetatively and can easily spread to whole water body, causing difficulty for aquatic organisms and hampering photosynthesis rate. The grafting is not possible in monocote because of the absence of cambium tissue in the monocote. So these are the very important questions. External or internal fertilization. The fertilization that occurs outside the body of the female is called the external fertilization, observed in the fishes and amphibians, and the fertilization occurs inside the body of the female is called the internal fertilization, and all the higher mammals are possess this type of fertilization. What is complete flower? When the all four holes, that is calyx, corolla and androecium and gynoeciums, are present in a flower, then it is called the complete flower. So these are the very important questions for repeatedly asking during your exam. Now we are going to discussing about the various events that occur in the sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction is a very complex process, and very briefly we can summarize the sexual reproduction events into: first, the gametogenesis. It is the gamete producing stage of the life cycle of a sexually reproducing organism. Second phase is the gamete transfer, then the fertilization or syngamy. After fertilization, the zygote will produce, which gives rise to the embryo, and that is the embryogenesis that involves the further development of the embryo. So the gametogenesis, gamete transfer, fertilization and embryogenesis is the basic events of sexual reproduction. and we can divide the gametogenesis and gamete transfer into pre-fertilization events. Pre-fertilization, then the fertilization or syngamy, and the embryogenesis involve the post-fertilization process. So pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization events are occurring sexual reproduction, and the post-fertilization process, after the formation of zygote, embryo will be produced. Then in case of plants, the embryo gives rise to seed, and in case of animal, the embryo gives rise to fetus. So the basic blueprint of post-fertilization process, the basic blueprint of formation of an organism is quite same. And in case of the plants and animal, the basic blueprint of the formation is same. Also prepare some questions for you, and you just try these questions. This will really help you during your exam. And these are the very important questions from this chapter, and these questions are very essential, and I hope this will help you, and probably it will come in your exam from this chapter. So go through these questions and try to answer these questions in your own language, point wise, and very important questions. So these are the homeworks for you. Try to write in your own way and try to explain the things in very clearly with proper diagram. Thank you, students. Subscribe my channel and stay tuned for next chapter. It will come very soon. Thank you so much.